Throughout the years, whatever the game, the Red Army's passion is always the same. Decades pass, now we rise anew. Rovers fans, this pod is for you. We won the cup, we ruled the league. A grand final win made us all believe. The world took note with wristbands fall. The Robin's superb, now we won it all. Red Army, let's hear you sing with all your might. For your world champions in the red and white. We are okay, and we are the champions of the world.
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Robin Pod, which is, of course, brought to you by Budget Tyres Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, staff and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. And joining me for this week's Robin Pod, once again, is Bazza. Everybody binned me off. Nobody was available, but Bazza stuck his hand up to say, I'll come on the Robin Pod, and I'm very grateful for you doing it, Bazza.
Hey, mate, I don't mind being somebody's third, fourth, or fifth choice. You know what I mean? It's all right being at the bottom of the ship, pal, mate. I'll stick my hand up and flag my way through.
I was going to say, mate, it's probably not the first time, is it? I think your missus said the same thing.
Oh, mate, yeah, every day, mate, every day. She always reminds me of it. I was always second choice.
Right, mate, let's get into it. We beat York on Friday night, 38 points to 6. Of course, we was expecting the Robins to get back on the horse and come away with victory. It was a big victory, you know, no doubt. At no point did the Robins look like they was going to lose it. It still wasn't a perfect performance, though, in my opinion. It
really wasn't, mate. And when York went in for that first try and they went 6 up, I was scratching my head like we're making stupid plays like the short dropouts, mate. I'm not a fan of them, you know. We saw later on in the game it did come off for Mikey, but I get it when you're chasing the game, but so early on when the game's 0-0, there's no need to go for them short dropouts, and York took their opportunity really well, mate. I don't think it was out to write home about. It was a very clunky display. I thought we looked really, really good, really fluent in stages of that game. I think the thing that's concerning for me is a friend of mine told me about the stats and I didn't believe it. I had to look back at it, and our completion rate was at like 52%, and there was 40 odd missed tackles, mate. And you know, against a side like York, and I don't want to disrespect York, you can maybe get away with it like we did. We was clinical when we needed to be, but if we're coming up against like a top 6 side, we're going to have to be a hell of a lot better than that. But if you look at the bigger picture, it was still a very, very good win, mate. I said, we've been saying it for weeks. We looked fatigued. We looked a bit gassed. So York this year have been very valiant in defeat. You know, they've always stayed in games. They've always give their opposition a game. You know, they nearly took the 2 points from Wigan. They've always been in the games, and for us to beat them convincingly, I think, you know, it shows that we still have got that clinical side of us, and we can still put teams away. We just need to put it together for longer periods of the game, because the second half I felt like we dropped off quite a lot. And the thing that's concerning, I don't want to go into it too much, but the atmosphere, mate, I don't know what's going on. Like, we got beat at Wembley, we got beat by Wakefield narrowly by Wakefield, and you know, a lot of people had a lot to say. So this was an opportunity to really get back, be out the boys at Craven Park, and I just felt the atmosphere was a little bit flat. You know, it was quite partisan in stages of that game, but you could hear people having conversations. So I think going into this Friday, mate, we need to really, really be out the lads, because they're gonna really need us against a decent Leigh side. But going back to the York game, mate, there was a lot of errors, a lot of missed tackles, but we did do what we needed to do to get the job done. And I think overall that's what's more important. And yeah, on to the next one, mate. It was far from polished, and you know, it's something to build on, especially with confidence being low. And in that game, I did feel like we did have quite a lot of adversity, which I'm sure you'll come on to. Like Jez coming off, losing Ollie Gildart, players like that. So we was having to shuffle around a lot. So we did do enough to get the job done. We could have been better. But I just want to pay a massive tribute because nobody's talking about him. Is Carl Lawton. I thought he was absolutely outstanding on Friday. His work ethic, his tackle efficiency. It was another Dean Hadley, and going on to Dean Hadley, you could see the difference having Dino in that middle unit and what he brought to us, and it was like the glue to our middles, mate. He didn't shy away from any tackle like he never does, and I think Dean Hadley and Carl Lawton really did complement each other on the night.
Yeah, and to be fair, mate, I mean, we said on last week's Robin Pod, didn't we, that even if Lawton played and Dean Hadley did a full stint, you know, we would have probably still lost. But like you said, then you see him on Friday night against York, and then you see how important they are to that side. And Lawton got through a huge amount of work in that early, 19, 20 minutes, what he did. Obviously, the game plan changed later on with Jez Litton going on, but it did highlight just how important he is to that side. And there's no doubt whatsoever Willie Peters will be ruining the fact that Lawton didn't play in that final at Wembley. Because, like you just said, Bazza, it just showed how important he is to the side. And like you mentioned about the adversity, Ollie Gildart going off with a HIA, that meant we had to then shift another player into the centres. That changed our then interchanges. So you don't forget, you don't realise sometimes when your backs go off, how it can impact the whole game plan. You know, we've got a real rigid game plan, haven't we, about our forwards when they come on, our hookers when they interchange. But you only need Ollie Gildart to go off with HIA or Joe Burgess or Tom Davis, Pet Hiku, whoever it may be, and it does change things slightly. And thankfully, we've got a little bit of... we've got the ability to move Batchelor and Martin into the centres, Dean Hadley around the forwards, but it does highlight sometimes how we can be not caught out, but it does affect the game plan. Yeah,
it does. And I think that's what Willie Peters has been working on over the years. That's why he prefers to have a utility player in the side who can cover multiple positions. And, you know, games like Friday night, forget the opposition, it comes in handy because I think Carl Lawton did a stint in the centre for 5 minutes before Reece Martin went in there. Then he was in the second row, and then he dropped into loose forward when Elliot Minchella come off. So I think that is absolutely invaluable. I just feel like we just need to be a little bit better at it in stages, in keeping our composure. But again, when you lose a player, it's how you react. And you know, we've lost players over the last couple of weeks, and we haven't reacted well. Let's face it, we haven't reacted well at all. So that was a positive to see in adverse conditions, losing not just players but key players. How we can still get over the line. I know that second half against York was clunky, but that's where we saw most of the changes. And I just want to highlight how good Tom Amon was, because for me, like I said last week, he's not getting burnt out doing massive minutes, burning him out. He's doing like Elliot Minchella's plan, shorter minutes, but better quality. And we're seeing that. We saw that with Tom, and massive reps to Tavita Bangai Jr. You know, the guy's been out the game for 9 months. He's been playing lower league rugby union. So it's his first game back in league, mate. And we've missed that big body. You know, his offload game was absolutely on point. But I think what I noticed, what was key, what we haven't had since Jared Warrior-Hargreaves, is what he draws in. He's drawing in 3 or 4 defenders to take him down to try and stop the offload. And while that's happening, it's creating holes and spaces, and it's allowing Mikey and Tyrone to exploit them holes. And that's what we've missed in the middle, because I don't want to bag on any of our forwards, but the likes of a Tom Amon is immense prop forward, but 2 men can take him down. They don't need to double up on a Tom Amon, whereas a Tavita Pangai Jr., they're doubling up, they're putting 3-4 men in, which is creating them gaps. And Willie Peters is very, very confident he's going to get a lot better. And, you know, it was overweight at Catalan. There's no shying away from it. He had a lot of work to do. Willie was patient with Tavita, got his weight to what he needs to be, got his fitness up, and worked with him. And like I say, he was patient before he brought him into the side. And he's only going to get better. And I trust Willie Peters when he says he's going to get better, because we saw glimpses of what the guy's capable of. And people are forgetting he was an Origin star, state of Origin. And if he can find any sort of that form again coming into the back end of the season, it's going to be absolutely invaluable for us.
Yeah, I tell you what, Bazza, completely right about Pangai Junior. He was one everyone wanted to see, wasn't he? He was a player that everybody would see. He came on, he didn't disappoint. He didn't do huge minutes, but what he did is, like you said, he was really effective in what he did do. And a lot of people probably missed actually how many people he did draw in when he was on the attack, and then we play off the back of that. If he's driving that ball into the 20, 10 metre lines, and he's drawing 4 defenders in instead of 3, or he's drawing 5 in instead of 4, that creates a space out wide for us. And it was a good introduction to him. Like, without being disrespectful to York, it was probably a good game for him to get out onto the pitch. Obviously, we're going to talk about Leigh very shortly. Up next, that is going to be a huge test. That is going to be really the benchmark for where he is. We can't probably expect so many things from Tavita Pangai Jr. right now. Interestingly, Tyrone May's got a new housemate, which is Pangai Jr., and they're living together at the moment. And Tyrone May said in an interview prior to the York game, I think, about how he's got a bit of a project about getting Pangai Jr. back to his best. And I think he was asked about it might have been what's one of the first things or one of the things you're going to change. And he did say nutrition. So that probably tells you where the issues with him are. And anyone who follows him on Instagram, like we mentioned on the Robin Pod last week, will know that he's very happy about his scores, what he's doing in the gym, his timings, everything. So he is getting to a place where I think he's going to produce the best rugby league. And hey, look, we are going to benefit from that because, like you alluded to, Bazza, there is no one in that Rover side who can do a job like that. He is a unique player, and I think that's why Willie Peters was probably desperate to bring him in, because he's just something different. He's just a different player, and you can't really compare him. The only comparison we made last week was to Kalepi Tanganoa and how he punched through. So, yeah, let's see how he goes. It's really interesting. I know you mentioned about the completion rates and the missed tackles, and missed tackles are poor out there. You don't, for again, we've gone over the 40 missed tackles. York, by comparison, made 25. Completion rate's a little bit of a different one because a lot of our tries were scored on 3rd and 4th tackles, so you're not necessarily getting there. I think when we play the Wiggins, the Warringtons, the Leeds, that's where you need your completion rate to be at your 90 plus, because that's when you're going into that grind. I think sometimes with teams like York, we benefit from scoring on them early plays. We've got loads of questions coming up in question time, and many are about partnerships and stuff like that. Like you said, they did have to deal with a bit of adversity. Ollie Gildart, we mentioned, Jez Litton going off. But ultimately, it was a comfortable night, wasn't it? And I'm with you, Bazza, on these short dropouts. I'm not a big fan of them. We saw Benison going in. But I did hear, I can't remember who it was who told me, who said, actually, the reason they go for the short dropouts is because percentage-wise, teams make more errors on receiving the ball on tackle 2 and 3 than they do going long and then getting a full set of running. There's more errors made in them early plays. And I think that's why they do them short dropouts, to try and create an error straight away. Whereas if you kick it deep, they've got more opportunity to make more meters, as daft as it sounds, because the defence has got to run out. So I can understand it, but I'd like them just to build it as far as they can and then get up there and defend.
Well, yeah, we always back our defence, so for me, there's no reason not to launch it out. And Mikey's a clever kicker. We saw what he did at Wembley last year, when he had that dropout and he managed to find touch with it. So I think we could have just maybe used the wind a bit better and just oof it downfield. Yeah. For me, there was no reason to go short. It was so early on in the game. Your players aren't going to be tired. They're not going to be fatigued. But again, how are we to argue with Mikey? Who won the Rob Burrow Award is a quadruple winner, mate. So for me, I just think you pick your moments for them sort of kicks, mate, because it was needless. I think it was, what, 4 or 5 minutes in the game, and Benison virtually went in untouched, mate. And I think that's the dangers of having them short dropouts. But no, I'm with you, mate. Off it downfield, make them work hard from deep and tire their bodies out. We're fit enough, mate. So, yeah.
I suppose the only thing as well is with them short dropouts, you've got you should have. Obviously, Benison went in, but you've got more opportunity to move up as one line. A longer dropout means that your defensive line is more, I don't know, you're not moving up as one. There's more breaks, there's more gaps, and we've seen a few times, haven't we, where teams have gone through, straight from the dropout because they've had the opportunity. Hey, look, I don't think that was Michael Lewis's. I think that's just the team plan, and we'll see what happens next.
I don't want to bag on Mikey, but did you see, when I was walking out the ground, I saw Mikey getting interviewed by Sky. Did you see Mikey as man of the match?
To be fair, I think Mikey Lewis came up with a try and 3 assists.
But how many assists has Tyrone had? And this is my thing, mate. I thought Carl Lawton was outstanding on the night. He really, really was, and so was Dino. Mikey had a few errors in him, a few unforced errors. I didn't see him as man of the match. He had a good game, but I didn't see him as man of the match.
And I think that's, Bazza, if I'm really honest, I think that's testament to how good he is.
Yeah.
So how the level of performance that he's set, and we've seen, and how good he can be, that actually sometimes if he just drops off a little bit, you sort of question it. But then I think it's because our expectations of him are so high. And don't get me wrong, he thrives on that as well, because he knows himself about how he wants to perform. We've heard him talk, haven't we, about how much he enjoys playing for Rovers, but how well he wants to play for Rovers. And you're right. I think as supporters, we probably look at him and a lot of people maybe looked at that game gone, was he that good? Was he as good? Other players obviously came to the fore. But also from a neutral point of view, don't forget, I think this is it, Bazza. We watch the Rovers, the Robins, week in, week out. We see them, we know what they can do. From a neutral point of view, I think sometimes you get a bit of a different, opinion. I dare say we could watch, a game of Super League that we don't have any vested interest in, pick a man of the match, but a supporter of that team will go, why have you picked him? Why? So you're totally right, mate. And this is why it's the Robin Pod, because it's about our Rovers tinted spectacles and our views on the game. Right, let's wrap up, York. We've got Steve Till. Then, of course, we've got Leigh on Friday night to discuss. We've got the England squad announcement to discuss. We've got also rumours of a potential new head coach. We've got lots to get through. So, Steve Till with Robins Revisited.
Hi Chris, and we're going to go back just 2 years this week. Match against Castleford at Weldon Road, a match I know you'll remember well, and I remember well because I sat there with you and watched it. And it wasn't the greatest game at all, but Rovers managed just to sneak a victory. Earlier in the week, it had been confirmed that Rovers would have to make 2 changes, with James Batchelor and Nat Parcell pulling out with injury. But then there was a third enforced change when Jai Whitbread was forced to miss out with a groin injury, and that brought in Jack Brown for his first start in Rovers colours, and of course Jack's now with Castleford, while George King and Danny Richardson were called onto the bench. Rovers, despite an early Ryan knock-on, got on top in the territorial battle early and appeared to have control, but Tom Opachik dropped a ball trying to score. Rovers conceded a penalty and then a dropout, and from the following set, the former Robin Sam Wood leapt high into the air above Jack Broadbent to open the scoring, and another former Robin, Rowan Milne, nailed the conversion. So it was 6-0 to Cass, but not for long. It appeared to spark Rovers into life. And it wasn't long before Mikey Lewis was making one of his famous breaks, and he fed up a chick, and Opachik went over near the post, touchdown. Leigh converted 6-6, and from the next set, there was a brilliant break from Jez Litton. Litton scooted clear, and he had Minchella on his outside, passed to Minchella. Minchella turned inside again under the post, and it was 12-6 to Rovers. But it had been a scrappy first half, and that vein continued into the early into the second half. It had been unattractive. Rovers were ill disciplined both in attack and defence, and in terms of penalties conceding, it meant they rarely forced sustained pressure, and when they did, their execution was off. So it wasn't a great performance. Castleford were gritty, but not as skillful. But they were still there at half-time, very much in the contest, and it looked as though they were about to take the lead. Kalepi Tanginoa fumbled in the opening set, and a few plays later, Sylvester Namo, the Papua New Guinean prop, crossed for Castleford, but luckily for Rovers, Jez Litton had managed to get his leg in between the ball and the try line, and the Papua New Guinean, as I say, he lost control of the ball. It was a big let-off for Rovers, but the sloppy nature of the performance went on. Lewis missed a penalty goal from almost right in front of the sticks. That would have put Rovers two scores clear, and they continued to relinquish possession. That was to bite them on 59 minutes. Tanginoa dropped a pass near the Castleford line, and while Rovers recovered from a high break, Dean Hadley dropped the ball on play one. Castleford weren't going to miss out this time, with Milne starting over from close range. He converted his own try to bring the game level, and it was mistake after mistake after mistake after that, until 5 minutes from the end, Jez Litton was in the pocket, the ball was thrown back to him, and he dropped a goal to make it 13-12. And it looked as though Rovers were pretty safe home. But then Matty Stoughton fumbled in zone half to put Castleford in position to take a drop goal. They fluffed that chance, and Rovers escaped with a 13-12 victory. As I say, it was a tough night, not really good football, but they got the points, and it was onward and upward for the rest of the season.
Thanks for that, Steve Till. Great to have you back on the Robin Pod, especially after your Thierry Henry, Terry Alibert gaff last week, which you messaged me about, and I do remember that game well. I think England, did England play Denmark in the Euros? I think so. It was it was a good night. Bazza, we've got Leigh on Friday. We've said about York how, of course, on Friday we expect it to be much tougher, and this is really where the Robins need to step up because they've had a couple of slow weeks, haven't they? Interestingly, the squad's been announced prior to us recording to this. It's been spoke about the fact that Jez Litton has got an ankle injury, and they're going to leave it to the last minute to see whether he plays against Leigh on Friday night or not. Jez Litton, Carl Lawton and Bill Leyland are both named in the 21-man squad, which suggests that obviously there is a potential that Jez won't be playing on Friday night. Salso Su's back. He's going to be a welcome addition to the side. Interestingly, Leigh have only named a 20-man squad for the game. They're expecting Tessie Newey to come back, Hanley to come back. They know that Jack Hughes won't be playing because he's been suspended for 3 games. Leigh coming into the game fresh from a decent victory over Bradford, who were quite strong at home. It's going to be tough on Friday night, and this is really where we need the Robins to step up.
It's going to be really, really tough, mate. And the one thing that Rovers have got on their side is Leigh ain't beat us at our place since early 2023, so we've got a really decent record against them. I don't even think they've scored many points at our place, so We just need to keep that momentum going now. We put some foundations in on Friday against York. It's somewhere to start, something to build off, and we really need to carry that into the league game and progress, mate. Because if we drop off at any point, Leigh is the sort of side who can punish you from anywhere on the park. You know, they nearly nicked it at the LSV, and I dare say they'll still be smarting over that. So I'm expecting Leigh to throw the best version of themselves at us, and we're just going to have to be on our toes because they've got a strike across the park. As for Jesse Sewell coming back, I think that week off will have done him the world of good, because I think he was one who was looking a little bit tired, and I think he's got a lot of making up to do for the boys, for his brain explosion against Wakefield. So it's setting it up for going to be a great night. And obviously I'm backing the boys. You know, I don't see how we get beat, but if we play like we did against York with the errors, yeah, it could be a tough night for us. So that's where we need to be. We need to be on point, mate, because like Leigh have got Josh Charnley scoring tries for fun. He's took the record from Ryan Hall, haven't he? So we need to be on point, and our middle unit's going to have to be really stiff coming up against the likes of Joe Offengawi, Edwin and Pape, because you know they're the sort of players who can roll you down the middle. And Adam Cook for Leigh has found some really good form, mate, and I think for me he's the one to watch. I know how good Lockie Lamb is, but Adam Cook at the moment is being exceptional. So we just need to be on our A game, stick to the game plan, and get things right. Yeah,
I mean, Cook, he had a great start to the season, has he? But he's certainly now seems to like he's got his feet under the table, and he seems like he's bedded in really well. What's really interesting for me, Bazza, is we didn't speak about it when we talked about the York game, but the fact that Jai Whitbread was dropped to the reserves. Now, Jai Whitbread, I mean, let's have a look at this reserve side, because they did come up with a great victory over Leeds Rhinos, 34 points to 26. But look at some of the players that will feature in this reserve side. Declan Murphy, recent recruit Flynn Holden, Noah Booth, recent recruit Ryan Westerman, Ryan Hampshire, Jack Charles, Bill Leyland, Tom Whitehead, Kobe Wainhouse, and of course Jai Whitbread. Now, Jai Whitbread has been dropped. There's no two ways about it, is there? Now, when I look at the bench from the York game, Bazza, so we've got Litton, Luckley, Desiree, Pangai Jr. So whether it's Litton or Leyland, it's going to be one or two, isn't it? It's going to be, you know, if Litton pulls up, it's going to be Leyland. You've then got Pangai Jr. Well, I've been massively surprised if he gets dropped, you know, the way that they're feeding him in. Obviously, you've got Luckley and Desiree who were there. You got Salso Sue coming in. So do you think Whitbread's going to be featuring?
It's hard to say, innit?
That means Luckley or Desiree are out playing.
Well, you've got Jesse Sewell coming back into the fold, so two people have got to sit down, really. I understand with Jai Whitbread, you know, he'd had a couple of weeks off, the birth of his baby, you know, he wasn't the best version of himself against Wakefield, so maybe it was the right thing for him. But Willie Peters in his pre-match was really positive about Jai staying, you know, the first teamers. He wants to see him standing out in the reserves because, you know, the Super League players, and he said that there was standing out, so I'd expect Jai to come back in. Excuse
me.
Does
that mean Sam Luckley drops out then?
Well, this is where I was going, because Sam's never let us down, but he's another one who's done some massive minutes. So for Sam to have a week off, mate, you know, it's not down to performance, but maybe just, you know, reserving his energy going forward. It's an horrible headache to have. I can't see Pangai getting dropped. I can see Sewell coming back in. For me, I think if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Jordan Desiree and Sam Luckley, because we've seen Leigh, mate. They've got a great pack, and Joe Offengawi and Isaac Leo, mate. They're great forwards. So we need to put. For me, I think we need to go big in the middle, and Sam Luckley's offload game is been invaluable for us. But Tavita Pangai Jr. has come in, and he's also got a great offload game, and he's only going to get better as the weeks roll on. So I think he's got a selection headache. All players, I don't know. It'll be interesting, but I'm confident if Whitbread and Sewell comes back in, we'll get the best version of both of them. And whoever has to sit down this week, it's unfortunate on them. But like I said, they all know the roles within the squad if they've got to have a week out, because we've got a massive roster coming up. You know, we've got Leeds the week after, and then Hull FC at Magic Weekend. So it's about the long game. And if anyone's going to sulk for being sat down, then for me, they don't belong at Hull KR. And you look at Jai Whitbread, he got sat down, put into the reserves, and he shone so bright to fight for his place back. And that's the attitude Willie Peters wants. So it's going to be a test of character for whoever is sat down this week and how they respond and fight their way back into the side.
Yeah, no, it's a great point, and we've seen it before. Not too many occasions, but where someone has been dropped, and Willie Peters is looking for that response, isn't he? He's looking for. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting with that one because, like we said, Sam Luckley's probably, and John and Desiree, they're going to be the fall guys now. Hey, it's a good position to be in because they're good players. The players who are, they're chomping at the bit to be inside. The other one's an enforced one, Bazza. Ollie Gildart obviously went off against York with that HIA. Peters has mentioned, obviously, that we've got James Batchelor, we've got Reece Martin, we've got Noah Booth. Now, if Martin or Batchelor goes into that centre spot, it does create another opportunity into the second row. And maybe that's where actually then you come up with a bench of Luckley with Whitbread maybe starting, or so that there's a few things at play here.
Yeah, there is. But what you got to be mindful of is Gilly's on the left edge, so he's going to be facing Leigh's right edge. And I believe on Leigh's right edge, they've got Josh Charnley and is it Umila Hanley? So he's got to be smart with whoever he fills into that position. For me, controversial, but I'd like to see Noah both there because he's got the speed, he's got good power, and every time the lad's took to the field for us, he's always scored and he's always give a really good account of himself. But if he went Reece Martin, he's got the power there and obviously the goal kicking. So it's a tricky one. I won't want to move the pack around too much. I think James Batch has been solid for us in that second row, but yeah, I won't like to call it if I'm honest with you. I would like to see Noah both take his opportunity, but again, you could put Reece Martin in there, then it eases your headache with regards to the forward selection, because you've got a second rower out in centre who played a lot there for Leeds and would be brilliant for us. So it'd make his selection easier for the bench of who to sit down. He might only have to sit down, should we say, Jordan Desiree or Sam Luckley. Yeah. So it kind of makes sense. But again, we don't even know if Jez is going to be fully fit going into the game, because I've noticed Ryan Amshire as well. He's another one mentioned in the 21. So as Mikey struggling with a knock, we don't know.
I think for me, if we're going to put, well, not necessarily round pegs and round holes, but we know Peters likes his experience. He don't normally gamble with anything. Booth's been a big shout, and he's been touted. Interesting, Peters said about getting down at the weekend to watch him, which maybe alludes to the fact he's going to play in the reserves. Batchelor or Martin to centre with Whitbread going into the second row, with Sam Luckley starting on the bench, and then just swapping Desiree and Sue. I think that's where he's going to go, because it just seems like the logical choices, and then it's either Litton or Leyland, isn't it? That's the conversation. So, and as much as we might want to see, I can't see Booth playing in it. I just think it's too much of a step up.
It is, and I'd 100% understand, if both weren't playing. But again, if both not playing in that centre role, for me it has to be Reece Martin, just for the size, for the power, because he's another one against York who really did shine on Friday night. He didn't take a backward step. He was solid going forward. that goal kicking, mate, it's incredible for us. So yeah, like you say, he's got a bit of shuffling to do, but let's just hope we get the best version of whoever takes to the field and to put in a proper OKR performance against Lakers. I'm sure if we do that, we'll get over the line. But yeah, probably like you say, it's probably going to be Reece Martin. I'm not disheartened by that because he's a great player. And we'll see what's served up. But he'll be in for a good old night, mate. If he's coming up against Yamila Hanley and Josh Charnley, he's got to be on his A game.
Yeah. Well, we all look forward to Friday. It's going to be another humdinger under lights at Sewell Group Craven Park. Like Bazza said, there probably was a bit of a lull against York, but there's a definite reason why the Robins faithful needs to get behind Rovers on Friday night, and that is because, Bazza, if you look at the league table, it is getting very, very tight. We've seen, of course, Leeds and Warrington Wolves there out in front on 22 points. And then you've got a chasing pack of Rovers, Wigan, Wakefield and St Helens on 18. Leigh are on 16 points. Catalan in 8th spot on 14. Now, a win for Leigh puts them on 18 level with us. And, of course, if results go, how the results go, we could be, 6 points behind Warrington and Leeds, come the end of the weekend, which ain't a great position to hard one to chase down, but a victory for Rovers. And then, of course, we've got that game in hand against Warrington, which is, it's building up to be an absolutely crucial game, sandwiched in between two other games as well at home. So it's that's why, for me, this game against Leigh is really important. It's massive because we cannot afford to lose them 2 points when you look at who it brings in, Leigh on 18, but also the potential for Warrington and Leeds to extend their lead over us.
Yeah, it does, and you're forgetting Wigan's probably in the form of the life so far this year as well, and they're snapping at our rails as well and love to get above us. So I think we need to treat it like a cup final. We need to throw everything at it, and it's not the end of the world if we get beat because there's still so much to play for. But I'm comfortable knowing that we haven't been playing our best rugby. We've had heavy defeats this year, but we're still sat third. We're still sat in a great spot. We turn Leigh over on Friday night, and we win our game in hand. We're top 2, depending on Leeds' form. And we'll just carry on getting better. What I am concerned at is adverse conditions, adverse whatever. If we lose players, if our Reds go down, if we go 6-10 points behind on the scoreboard, it's how we react. And I think so far this year in 26, we haven't been reacting very well when we go behind. I mean, thankfully we did against York. So I think for me, key going forward for the second half of the season is not everything's going to go our way, but we need to react better on the field and off the field as well. The fans, the lot, everything. So we've got it all to play for, mate. And I don't see any reason why we would get beat by Leigh, and then it just builds it up for the following week when we go to Leeds in good form, mate. Because that'd be a massive thing to do the double over the Leopards this year, because they was tipped for top 2, and they're not a bad side. They've hit some bad injuries, so if we can do the double over Leigh this year, mate, it'll be great for us, and it's just another stepping stone. It keeps that pressure on that top 2, and it keeps that league leaders alive, and that's what it's about. If we don't win, then we've got a mountain to climb, and we need some things to go our way. But it's not the end of the world, mate, because we can pull out a performance out of nowhere. We've seen it before where we've been a bit clunky, then we've put an absolute amazing 80-minute complete performance in and wowed everyone. So, we have got it in our armour, and we're going to have to be smart Friday night to get the job done.
Yeah, and then, of course, like you said, Bazza, leads up after that. We need to go into that game with a victory for me, mate, because we need to chase that lead side down. And, of course, we've seen, we're going to talk about it in next week's Robin Pod, but they've got a bit of a marker over us, haven't they? So we'll see. Right, before we wrap up, very quickly, Bazza, the England squad, the squad that Brian McDermott's going to be picking from. He's picked effect 8 pool of players. That's where the World Cup's going to be picked from at the back end of the season. Jez Litton, Mikey Lewis, and Dean Hadley have been selected. Joe Burgess, he's not selected after he featured and was picked for the Ashes. And of course, Captain Elliot Minchella, who featured for Sean Wayne in a few games. He's not been selected. What have you made of the World Cup squad and who's involved? Obviously, there's a few players who are yet to play for England who are included.
The two, well, there's a few big ones for me. One, I don't know how Jack Wellsby has been selected. I know it's only like a train-on squad. I don't know how the hell he's been selected because it's been awful. He's not even been playing fullback. I'm surprised Jack Farriman hasn't been given the nod because he's been a massive shining light this year. You know, we've seen it with one of our own in Mikey Lewis. Well, Jack Farriman's doing it for Wigan. I'm absolutely over the moon for Dean Hadley because he's finally, after all these years, got the recognition he deserves for what he's done for the game of rugby league. He had it tough at LFC. He come across to us. He was struggling with injuries, but Willie Peters unlocked that great player in Dean Hadley and shown Dean Hadley to the rugby world what he's capable of. And under Sean Wayne, he was always overlooked. So for Dino to get that recognition, I think it's testament to the hard work Dino's put in. Whether he's on that plane to Australia in October, that's another thing. Strange things have happened. I don't see why not, because he's a great player. So I'm over the moon for that. There is a few while I've been left scratching my head over, but the one what's highlighted for me, mate, is Dino just getting some recognition. And you know, I dare say Dino will be grateful for the recognition, but that's not enough. Dino will want to be there, and it's now in Dino's hands to get himself to Australia, mate. So massive testament to him and the work that Willie Peters has done with him. As for Joe Burgess, I'm not too surprised, mate. He's a great finisher, he really is, but we've seen him a little bit up and down this year. And again, I don't want to bag on Budgie because love him to bits, but it's different in the World Cup. So,
and to be fair, we saw that in the Ashes as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
He came up with some errors, and the biggest surprise for me, mate, is that Chris Hill's not included. You know, I thought it'd be after what happened before. I mean, obviously you got Alex Walmsley in there. Hey, look, I mean, the crazy thing around the squad, Bazza, and we'll finish on that, is that the squad won't be picked on what Brian McDermott sees in training or in an England match. There's no friendlies, so there's no mid-season tests. There's no training camps scheduled because there's no gap to put them in. So basically, this squad is going to be picked on their Super League and NRL performances, which for me makes a mockery of the fact that George William is the captain, because he's going to have no form going into that World Cup. You know, and this is some of the things that just baffle me. This is rugby league in this country, isn't it? And
that's my argument, mate. George Williams will be playing another game this year, and he's keeping a young superstar in Jack Farriman out of that side. That's not looking to the future. George Williams should be sat down for the World Cup, captain or not. We've got enough decent leaders in there. Morgan Knowles, Mike McMeekin, anybody who can lead that side. So for me, George Williams shouldn't be nowhere near it, and Jack Farriman should be getting the nod for me because he's done enough to earn that position. And for me, George Williams is keeping Jack Farriman out that side, and there's no reason for that to happen because George, again, is not playing. And we saw in the Ashes, George Williams was badly injured and missed the back end of last year, and he got picked for the Ashes, and it was shite.
Yeah,
it was shite. He scored one try. What Jez Litton set up for him, you know. Yeah. So that's a bad call, mate. But hey, for me, I'm buzzing for Dino. He's getting a bit of recognition for all the hard work that he's done for all Kingston Rovers over the years, mate. I'm chuffed to bits for him.
Yeah, 100%. Now, a rumour or a name that's been suggested to me that has been someone who may be the future head coach of Hull Kingston Rovers is Matt King. Okay, so of course, Paul Lakin, he spoke previously, didn't he, about the fact that they were looking to announce the new head coach for the Robins in May. Obviously, that deadline that he set has passed. We're now gone past the middle of June. Matt King, he is, of course, the former Warrington Wolves player. He's been assistant coaching since 2013. He's the long-standing assistant to Trent Robinson at Sydney Roosters. He's been the New South Wales assistant coach in the State of Origin. He's been coaching with Lebanon in the World Cup. And by all accounts, he's very, very highly thought of in the coaching circles down in the NRL, with Trent Robinson going as far as to say that Matt King could be the head coach of New South Wales and that he's ready. It's maybe not a name that's been mentioned before, Bazza, but people are starting to look at next season, aren't they, and wondering who is going to be Hull KR's head coach in 2027.
They are, and you brought that to me last week when you messaged me about that, and I was left scratching my head, and I've pondered over it a little bit, and I've looked into Matt King's coaching career, and it's very reminiscent of Willie Peters. You know, he's plied his trade as a player across our waters for Warrington, like Willie did for Wigan. So he's got a good understanding of the English game, and then he's gone back over to Australia to ply his trade and learn things as an assistant. And let's face it, it's not like he's been under any bad coaches. To be an assistant under Trent Robinson for a lot of years, mate, that you're not going to get many better mentors than that, apart from like the likes of Wayne Bennett. So I think if this comes off and there is truth behind it, I think it'll be great for the club. I mean, I told you last week that Jim Lenihan had an interview and what he got asked in the interview, so we know which direction the club's going in. So if we can get Matt King in and he's got the same philosophies as Willie Peters, I think it's great news. I think it's absolutely fantastic news because it's a young coach who's hungry, who wants his opportunity as a head coach. And let's face it, all Kingston Rovers have now proved that, you know, you can come across to our club as an assistant, win things, and get yourself a massive gig back home, very much like Willie Peters has, because Willie Peters was put in a position where he got the choice of what jobs he wanted to do, not just take any job. So there is that pulling power there. You know, we're a great club to come to if you want to progress your coaching career to an NRL head coach, because there's no doubt Matt King would want to be an head coach in the NRL one day. And if he wants to look at what Willie Peters has done, what he's achieved, then it'd be a good route for him to come down, in my opinion. And, you know, it's not been a great day today for Matt King and the New South Wales team today with what happened with the Maroons battering them. But again, to be in and around that Origin coaching setup, you know, even Willie Peters didn't have that opportunity. So if we can pull that off, I think it'd be absolutely fantastic for the club.
Yeah, let's see what happens with a head coach, because people are starting to wonder, aren't they, who it will be. Okay, that leads us, Bazza, to question time. Okay, Bazza, we have got loads of questions to get through. Let's try to do these a little bit quick fire, because I know you like to talk a lot. Do you think that Gary Leigh says, of course, from the Robin Pod, he says, do you think there is something amiss with Gildart Burgess at the moment? Ollie seems seems off at the moment, and I'm wondering if there is something amiss between them both. Understanding, of course, they've talked famously, haven't they, that they are best mates, or am I barking up the wrong tree? I don't think he is, Bazza, because we mentioned it, didn't we? That edge just seems a little bit out of sync at the moment, particularly against Wakefield. Or like Gary says, is he barking up the wrong tree? We don't know, do we? I mean, it's only what we see.
And your edges is only as good as the service that you get, and if they haven't been getting the service from Mikey and whatnot, then there's only so much our left edge can do. I think I understand where Gary's coming from. I think we've looked frail down that left edge in defence, but I don't know, maybe reading too much into it, but Gary's not the only one, because I've noticed something's not quite right, more in defence than attack.
Okay, Rob Coles, great that you message because I need to speak to you. So after hearing the Robin Pod, give me a call because I do need to speak to you. He says, do you think we should look at adopting the NRL extended bench? If it was extended to say from 6 to 6 or 8, you could have specialist players just in case. Far too often games swung due to injury or a spine player, for example, with no replacement, thus keeping the quality of the game. Could even be useful to have a must to have a certain number of young homegrown players in your squad. He asked another question, but he's waffling on now, so I ain't gonna ask that. But like we said, Bazza, when Gildart went off, it changes the dynamics. Now, if you had a specialist centre, for example, or someone who could play that position more than maybe a second row stepping into that position, I can see the benefit in that.
Yeah, I can, and I'm a massive fan of it. What they're doing in the NRL, and it gives more opportunity to your 18th man. It'll give opportunity to see more of your younger talent, like you've just alluded to there. If we'd have had Noah Both on the bench and we could have used 5 players, there's Noah Both. What we're getting to see him in an opportunity that he probably won't get. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of that, and I'd love to see Super League adapt to what the NRL have done. Going into 2027 with the extra man on the bench, because again, it helps with tactics as well, and it brings the quality of the game up. The quality of the game will be better.
Yeah, Tom Noble, he asks, and I'll answer this one, Bazza, because it's a very simple one. Which player from the Reserves Academy will be the next to feature in a regular Super League match for Rovers, and what position will they play? Well, I'm going to say Jai Whitbread, and I'm going to say either second row or off the bench. I think that's probably going to be the next one. Ian Dixon, obviously, he sent me a question last week. He says, my comment about more biff was misinterpreted. That's mine and Bazza's fault. Apologies. I definitely meant we need more aggression in the forwards, more confrontation, more winding up the players, standing your ground at the play the ball, etc. I know it's not the 80s anymore, but we won't get away with we won't get away with the old style biff. But as a pack, we're too nice this season and getting rolled too often. And you mentioned that about Pangai Jr., didn't you? Seeing his presence and drawing players in, and it's that physicality, not necessarily, squaring up to someone and laying a punch, but the physicality and not being rolled over, which Ian, right? I agree.
Yeah, I feel like over the last few weeks, mate, we've lost our intensity. What we're seeing, what Wigan doing now, that's what OKR did in 2025, aggressive, up in your face. And I think our intensity has just dropped a little bit this year. So if we can just get that intensity back, that aggression back, and bully people, bully the opposition, it'll stand us in good stead, mate. So yeah, he's bob on with that, 100%.
Yeah, Julie Rodman, she asks a question, and it's something you mentioned earlier, Bazza. Has the atmosphere gone a bit flat at all home games? Are the fans expecting too much? York was a good win, but people seem to be walking home disappointed. Twofold in it. I think we as supporters, we could probably do a bit more, but at the same point, we've become so accustomed to Rovers absolutely steamrolling sides that unless it's, and let's be honest, we haven't had too many games where we've scored 50 or 60 points. It was a comfortable victory over York, wasn't it? And I couldn't understand why people want more, but we've probably got to be a little bit realistic as well.
Yeah, we do. And I think Julie's right in what she says about the atmosphere. It has gone a bit flat. I think what we're in danger of at the moment is becoming that entitled fan. We've seen it with the Leeds Rhinos, the St. Helens, the fans become entitled, like they're entitled to silverware. And we don't want to be becoming that sort of fan. I think we just need to, as fans, just get back to singing loud, singing proud, and enjoying the game, enjoying the atmosphere. I know sometimes referee decisions can take away from the atmosphere. I mean, James Feller had a shocker on Friday, but we just need to really get behind the boys, and just do what we do best, mate, because our home is a fortress, and it's Sky pundits love coming there because it's always bouncing. And I think Julie's right. I think Friday night it was a little bit flat and what we're not used to. But going back to being expecting, I don't know. It's maybe not expecting. Maybe you just want to win every week, but unfortunately, it just doesn't happen like that.
No, Matt Baxter, he has. Do you think if we win the next 2 games versus Leigh and Leeds, we can win the Leaders' Shield? Matt, I reckon if we win both of them games, we are in with a massive shout of winning the League Leaders' Shield. I think if we lose one of them games, we're still in with a decent shout of winning the League Leaders' Shield. And I think if we lose both of them games, it is incredibly, incredibly difficult to win the League Leaders' Shield. So it is a massive couple of weeks for the Robins. James Scruton Bazza says, "Are you disappointed as I was that we never rotated at least a couple more players against York? The frustrating thing was for me that I hoped that they would rest Ollie Gildart and play Noah Booth, and as it turned out, Ollie Gildart got injured. There was probably an opportunity for a bit more squad rotation, especially when I named that Rovers reserve side, and you see some of the players that featured there.
There was opportunity, mate, but we've just come off the back of 2 defeats. One of them was, well, Wembley was heartbreaking and Wakefield was heartbreaking. So I think it was just getting back to fundamentals, mate, winning, doing what you can just to get that victory, build the confidence and put whatever team you can out there. So yeah, you could argue about rotating, but you know, look what York did to us in round 1. I don't think Willie Peters wanted to take any chances, and I respect that.
Yeah, Paul Richardson, she asked about the 30-man England squad and our thoughts. We discussed that. Tom Noble, again, he says, which players not included in the squad announcement should have been part of the England squad? And I will die on this hill, Bazza. Tom Davis, for me, has been one of the standout performers, not just for Hull Kingston Rovers this season, but in Super League. So consistent. He's now, obviously, went through that lull of not scoring a try in a few games, but he's consistently backs up with his runs from deep. He's a great finisher. I think this goes underestimated, how good he is a finisher. Don't get me wrong, he's had excellent service from Peter Hiku this season. But for me, Tom Davis was the player that I would have said should be in that England squad.
Yeah, I can say that. I can agree with it because he's tough as well. But another one for me, Jack Broadbent, for his utility value. If they're struggling for a fullback, Jack Broadbent goes fullback over Jack Wellsby any day of the week. Well, that's my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's a great shout. And the final question, very quickly, Bazza. Dave Campbell, he says, will you die happy if we never win another trophy? It's a tough it's a tough one, mate. It's a tough one.
I was grateful for the Challenge Cup, mate. So anything that come after that, I've got memories that'll last a lifetime, mate. That'll stay with me forever. So it's not about dying happy. I'm just grateful for what we've achieved and the memories that was made last year. But for me, after anything, I've always said after the Challenge Cup last year, anything else that comes is a bonus. You know, maybe my expectations are too low, but that was the ultimate for me last year. And if we win one this year, if we win one the next 10 years, bonus. What we've achieved, mate, not many teams will ever achieve that.
No, and we're not greedy. You know, we're realistic about where we are. But I do think if, say, this season and we went on and we never won another trophy, we'd always look back on, you know, when you're a 70-year-old, 80-year-old and you sat in your rocking chair, and you would say, we had a great chance to kick on there. To you know, the talk about is being building a dynasty. You know, it's about not being one season wonders, great clubs, great sides, don't win, you know, do well one season to back that up. And I do think that if we're really honest, later on in life, if we never won another trophy again, we'll always look back at this era and go, we could have kicked on. There was a great opportunity. And that's where I'd probably leave it at that. That said, like you, Bazza, I totally agree with you. I've had lifetimes, I've had family moments, I've had memory. I've just things that I genuinely never thought we would see Hull Kingston Rovers doing. You know, who thought you'd see Rovers playing in Las Vegas?
Exactly.
You know,
we're on the map. We're on the
25, 30 years ago, who would have thought you'd have seen Rovers not only in a grand final, but going on to win a grand final? So, look, let's see what happens. I think all we can do as supporters, Bazza, is get behind them and just keep propelling them onto another trophy.
Exactly, and there's things nobody can ever take away from us, mate. Winning the World Club in your neighbour's backyard, that shit'll never be replicated, you know? So, yeah, up the Robins.
Right, a huge thanks to everyone who's tuned in on YouTube and on podcast. The Robin Pod is, of course, powered by Budget Size Auto Centre, which is powered by God, I'm losing my mind now. You've just reminded me of the World Cup Challenge. Totally. I'll start again. The Robin Pod is powered by Budget Size Auto Centre, the only car specialist trusted by the players, club officials, and supporters of Hull Kingston Rovers. If you are going to the game on Friday night or watching on the screen, make sure you are still loud and proud. But for now, live, love, laugh, and be happy.
This is the Robin Pod. Robin Pod. This is the Robin Pod. Whoa. Throughout the years, whatever the game, the Red Army's passion is always the same. Decades pass, now we rise anew. Rovers fans, this pod is for you. We won the cup, we ruled the league. A grand final win made us all believe. The world took note with Brisbane's fall. The Robins superb, now we won it all. Red Army, let's hear you sing with all your might. For your world champions in the red and white. We are okay, and we are the champions of the world.